Okay, so what's new in the embossing realm is a little gadget called a ShadowPress Station. And I call it a little gadget because this is all it is, okay? I think people were expecting some big giant tool or whatever. It's like, oh, no. ShadowPress Station is just this. I think it retails for like $4.99. But what it does is it really kind of changes the way we can use our ShadowPress. If you're not familiar with these are little sticks that will deboss a drop shadow. You can put it onto paper, onto cards. Here, I'll just show you on a manila tag. If I go to put this in, I'm just going to put it in on its own, place that in, I'm going to emboss it. Now, these are sold in sets of 6 words. We even have a set that has all of the months. So if you're doing any sort of journaling or planning, you can do the entire month set, that's really great. You can do it for birthday cards or anything like that. But when we run this through, the ShadowPress, of course, is going to create that drop shadow. Really cool. And just that on its own is really impressive because you can see that drop shadow in there. But it's also fun to add color in there. Add color in the drop shadow. And before we would say, okay, you could go in and you can take your marker and you can color into that. You can still do your blending tool over that. But if you want to ink the actual folder and you're using an ink pad, you have to be really careful when you're touching that because an ink pad is squishy. So even if you're really careful just trying to hit the surface, chances are you're going to get ink somewhere else. And when that happens and you run it through the machine, you will see it. So that's what the ShadowPress Station is designed to eliminate. So what it is this template basically that has this recessed track on the back. It's got these little support feet on the end and this tab on the other end to hold on to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ShadowPress, and any of your folders, obviously there's an innie and an outie. Okay, we're going to go on the outie. That's what we want. And we're going to place this down, and this goes right over your ShadowPress, and it just locks in, sits right in there. Those little feet just allow you to hold on to it so it doesn't move around. So we're going to lock that in place. Now, I'm going to work with a Brayer. Now, I like to use Ranger's Mini Brayer. That's the Brayer that I tested it with. That's the one that I use. So already people are saying, well, can I use this Brayer or that Brayer? You're going to have to see what Brayer works. I have tried using a soft rubber Brayer. That doesn't work because it's too soft, so when I'm rolling it, it pushes down. I've tried an acrylic Brayer, which is too hard, so when I ink over it, it doesn't want to transfer the ink. So just find something that works. What I like about this particular Brayer is I can use permanent ink, I could use distress ink, I could use paint if I wanted to do paint because I wanted something opaque. But I like the fact that I could ink up my Brayer, and if I was inking up my Brayer, like I am right now, I'm rolling and lifting. Whenever you ink up a Brayer, you always want to roll and lift so you're coating the entire roller. You don't want to just go back and forth. Then when I'm getting this ready, I can flip this Brayer over, and it has little feet that will allow it just to sit there and not get ink on my surface. So I can, so I can make sure that that's in place. Now I can pick it up, and now when I roll over it, I'm only hitting the high points. It's one of those duh tools, but you only hit the high points. Then I can flip that over, set it back down. There's my tab, easily lift it off, and now I can run this through. This is it's one of those little gadgets that just make it easy.
That's fantastic.
That's it. Yeah, it's really cool. So I'm going to place that down. Now, I like to work with the smaller cutting pads for that top layer, you know, something like an on-the-edge cutting pad, because you don't need to have the entire thing, but as long as you have a top cutting pad, it's going to work. Ooh, thanks. It's kind of like coin dozer, right? Pushing it right off the edge. And now we've added that bold color as a drop shadow. Pretty cool. It's cool. Now, another fun thing that I like to do, even if you're not using regular ink, is you can do the exact same thing with embossing ink. So do clear embossing ink over it, ink that, run it through. It's going to deboss embossing ink, take it out, pour embossing powder, which will fill all of the wells with embossing powder, like gold or silver, and then heat emboss it, and it's going to fill the wells with embossing enamel. It's cool. It just, to me, it just takes ShadowPress to a whole different thing. I mean, I still love the whole cleanliness of just ShadowPress. It's still very cool to put that in there, but sometimes you just want a little punch. Like, for example, it's a great sample that Rochelle did on cork. This is the new cork surface from Ideology. You know, sometimes on a background that has a lot of texture, even that drop shadow is going to disappear, but the ability to ink that drop shadow, it's a game changer. Cool little gadget. It's a ShadowPress Station.
And it's so simple.
It is. It's so simple.